Today, we will take a moment just to honor the late Kyle Busch once again, but also we got to talk about the future of Trackhouse Racing. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you're all having a great day. Today, just got a couple storylines and some news stories to cover in this episode. Some schedule announcements coming out as NASCAR continues to roll out slowly the entirety of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for next year. We also have a little bit of a Kyle Busch tribute in this episode. We'll wrap it up by talking about the future of Trackhouse Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series following yesterday's Connor Zilisch announcement to Hendrick Motorsports in 2028. And I know you guys might be wondering, Andrew, where is the Richmond race review? And I promise that's coming. That will probably be coming out tomorrow on Wednesday, August 19th. So I just had to get these two episodes out here. The Connor Zilisch announcement episode that you can pretty much call the last one that was released on Monday. And then we have this one, which I'm going to kind of title as a Kyle Busch tribute slash like news episode, I guess. But beginning this episode, we are going to be talking about some announcements from tracks that have officially confirmed their dates for the 2027 NASCAR Cup Series schedule, which overall, this has been a little bit different than what NASCAR has done over the past couple years, where they released the episode or the schedule in just one big announcement. But this year, they're announcing each date and racetrack by it's just a singular racetrack and all the dates in that announcement. So it's a little bit different. And today is no exception. We got an announcement that Chicagoland will be back on the schedule for the NASCAR Cup Series June 25th through June 27th next year. I believe they will be part of the Amazon Prime section of the schedule. So I'm glad to hear that we're going back to Chicagoland. We're staying in the Chicago market. Chicagoland put on great racing once again this past year in their return to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule after a couple years away. We had that thrilling battle with the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers of Bell, Briscoe, and Hamlin. Briscoe would go on to win that one, but such a thrilling battle that we saw at Chicagoland. I'm expecting some really good stuff, and there's still some rumors floating around that NASCAR could be returning to the Chicago street race again next year. No official announcement has come out yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But I know rumors have stalled in recent weeks, so can hold out for hope. But I guess now, maybe that we do have this Chicagoland announcement, maybe we won't be heading back to the Chicago street race. I guess I didn't fully put that together in my head, but regardless, Chicagoland will be back on the schedule next year. Pocono will be hosting a triple header next weekend, next season, with trucks and as well with the O'Reilly Series and the NASCAR Cup Series. So a lot of action for Pocono upcoming in 2027. I believe they will be from June 11th through June 13th. So that will also be part of the, I believe, the NASCAR Prime slate of races. And the final track to announce their date for next year is Homestead Miami Speedway. NASCAR will be returning to the track in Florida for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship in 2027, or the NASCAR Championship weekend in 2027, November 12th through November 14th, which will have the Truck Series, the O'Reilly Series, and the NASCAR Cup Series. We'll see the return to Homestead Miami for the championship race this year coming in November for their inaugural return to the championship site. So should be awesome. It's a mile and a half. Great racing. The next gen car puts on there at the mile and a halves, and both the trucks and the O'Reilly series normally put on some pretty good shows there in Homestead, Miami. So with that, there are only a handful of dates left to be confirmed by NASCAR to be on the 2027 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. So we'll have to wait and see for more announcements from the industry on which tracks will be part of the schedule next year. Now let's move on to another storyline that I kind of want to focus on. And today we're going to be focusing back on Trackhouse Racing. And we talked about Trackhouse quite a bit yesterday when we were talking about Connor Zilisch and the announcement that he will be leaving the team after 2027 and joining the Hendrick Motorsports number 48 car with Ally on the car next year, or in 2028. Just as a side note, Corey Day, or Hendrick did confirm that Corey Day will be back driving for Hendrick next year in the 17 in the O'Reilly series, and remains a key component of their development program and will be sticking with them, and they will bring him up when they feel like the time is right to promote Corey Day to the next level of the NASCAR ranks into the NASCAR Cup Series. So just thought I'd throw that out there. But when I talked about Trackhouse Racing yesterday, I didn't really focus on some of the long-term stuff. I briefly talked about it, like how Trackhouse, with Connor Zilic out of the building, maybe they'll shift in a different direction. Maybe they'll leave Chevrolet and head over to Dodge when they jump up to the Cup Series, because that seems like it's going to be happening sooner rather than later in the NASCAR Cup Series. But there was one thing that I didn't focus on that I feel like should be, one, I should have blatantly seen this coming and should have talked about it, but it's also something that I think will be a huge game changer in terms of this team, and is that Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen both will be on expiring contracts following the 2027 season as well. So Trackhouse is going to have to make some decisions on what they want to do. And in my eyes, there's several ways that they can go about this. They can, keep Chastain, they can keep SVG, they can keep both, they can let both walk and completely clear house on the team heading into 2028. But honestly, I highly doubt that they'll be looking to replace Chastain and SVG, by their own choice, because both are very solid drivers. Chastain, even though it's not been a great year, he's still knocking on the door of a chase. He's a previous winner in the Cup Series. He's still searching to break that winless streak. And Shane Van Gisbergen, one of the best road coursers, if not the best road course racer, currently in the NASCAR Cup Series. That with those wins on road courses, he's put himself in prime position to make the chase this year, and I have no doubt in my mind that he can do it again next year with Trackhouse. But with Trackhouse on the downwards decline over the last few years, we've seen the win totals dwindling for the team. We saw Chastain and Suarez only won one race back in 2024, and then Chastain only got one win last year, where it wasn't necessarily the only bright spot. It was the only bright spot that Chastain had all of last year. And this year, SVG's been carrying the flag for Trackhouse this year, even though we kind of expected him to at least do well in the road courses. We expected Chastain to really step up and get back to victory lane and be a top 15, top 12 driver in the sport. And just this year, we haven't seen that from that one team at all. And I know they replaced Phil Surgeon, Chastain's former crew chief, with Brandon McSwain, a former Hendrick engineer. But in my opinion, I don't think that partnership has really been working out. And Trackhouse overall and Chevrolet as a manufacturer in general, I mentioned this yesterday, has just not been good this entire year. They've been adjusting to that Chevrolet body, and Hendrick hasn't looked great, but they're slowly starting to figure it out. RCR hasn't been good since I would say 2022 or even 2023 at least maybe. And then calling, they aren't going to be a Chevrolet team for long. They're probably going to head over to Dodge soon. So a lot of questions are surrounding Chevy, Trackhouse, and what they might do. I already talked about how they should probably try to retain Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen, and they might have to find another driver, whoever that may be, to fill that seat in 2028, fill that third car, or may Trackhouse want to downsize to back to two cars, because it's been a struggle with that third car, which has been Connor Zilic, that new addition. It's been a struggle for this team. So I would not be surprised if we see in 2027 that Trackhouse is going to make some sweeping changes behind the scenes, whether that be with new engineers, new crew chiefs, new drivers potentially. I can't put it past Justin Marks to say, "Hey, this current core is not getting it done. We may have to make some big changes to if we want to be competitive again." I don't think they're gonna let go of Shane Van Gisbergen because, he is able to win on road courses no matter what, in my opinion. There's not many things that can stop him. It would have to be Circuit of the Americas, which is the only track that SVG doesn't do well on. Everywhere else, he's great. So I don't see Trackhouse looking to get rid of Shane Van Gisbergen. I think they would want to bring him back. I'm not so confident that they can bring back Ross Chastain, and Ross Chastain even wants to return to that team, because it's been a struggle for the last 3 seasons. It's been tough for that entire one team, and he just had his crew chief replaced, and it's not been much better than last year. So I don't know. Will Trackhouse want to keep Ross Chastain? Will Chastain want to stay with Trackhouse? I think those are fair questions to have right now. And will Trackhouse stay with Chevrolet is probably the biggest question on my mind above everything else. Is above the Chastain questions, above the SVG questions, above who are they going to replace Connor Zilic with. It's will Trackhouse want to stay with Chevrolet, or will they want to jump on with a different or possibly new manufacturer, potentially with Dodge? I'm not sure, and I think I'm interested to hear what you guys think. But all of this is so far down the road too. Let's also keep that in mind here. Let's somewhat roll a little bit that yes, these questions are pretty big for Trackhouse, but they have time to answer them. They have a lot of time to answer them. It's still, we still have a couple more weeks. We still have about 10-ish weeks before this season wraps up, and then they have all 36 races next year and this offseason to figure out what they want to do for 2028. So Trackhouse is in a rush, but these are definitely questions that Justin Marks and everyone at Trackhouse needs to be thinking about. What are they going to do moving forward after this year and after 2027? Because beyond that, the future is pretty murky. We'll have to wait and see. So I would love to hear down in the comments what you think Trackhouse should and will do potentially. I'd love to hear your comments down in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and wrap up this episode by acknowledging the lost member of the NASCAR community, Kyle Busch. He passed away Memorial Day weekend just before the Coca-Cola 600, and it was heartbreaking for the entire industry. And today, NASCAR announced that on today, August 18th, it will be a day to honor the memory of Kyle Busch. They have a whole program running on the NASCAR channel, some of Kyle's greatest races, his greatest achievements. I encourage you to go check that all out. It'll be on the NASCAR channel, the free NASCAR channel. So go check that all out. And frankly, when I was, thinking of what to say about Kyle Busch, I thought to myself that I I don't know what to say. I don't know what else I can say because I feel like I laid it out pretty well when I talked about Kyle Busch and when he passed away back on Memorial Day. I felt I did my best to relay everything I knew about him. And haven't been watching this sport for a long time, so it felt, unfair and, not right to, say and list achievements for Kyle Busch that I didn't get to witness and didn't experience in my life. So I feel like all that I can do really, which I feel at the same time kind of feel I don't feel great about, is I just can acknowledge that this day is a special one. The day is 8/18/2026. Those are the two numbers that Kyle Busch have run in the NASCAR Cup Series. So one, fitting that it is, but two, I just, hate that I feel like I can't do so much about it, but all but say that, Kyle Busch, when I watched him even, I could tell that he was one heck of a driver. And the plain fact that he had been doing this, driving in the NASCAR Cup Series for so long, well into his 40s with a lot of race left in him, and his future was bright. Like his future was bright beyond this year if he continued to race full time. Like what questions? Like he could have, possibly looked to, move on from RCR, but I know Richard Childress, it sounded like that Kyle was probably going to stay with RCR next year. But, he was going to go race with his son Brexton in the truck series when Kyle retired from full-time racing. They would split a truck ride and eventually would watch his son Brexton move up through the ranks of NASCAR. So I, reflect that the future was bright for Kyle Busch, and it's so sad that we're robbed of not being able to see that at all. So, yeah, I know my little discussion about it has been a little bit all over the place, but I hope I'm at least conveying that there's not much more to say than what has been said about Kyle Busch other than one heck of a driver, one heck of a man, and he will be missed forever and ever, not only in the NASCAR industry but in the rest of the world. Like his family, his friends, his wife, Samantha, his sons Brexton and Lennox, or his kids son Brexton and Lennox. So yeah, I don't know what else to say other than my thoughts and prayers are still with Kyle's entire family, his wife, his kids, his brother Kurt, Kyle's parents, and all their friends, and everyone at Richard Childress Racing and in the NASCAR industry that were connected to Kyle Busch. My thoughts and prayers remain with you. So I hate to end this episode on, I wouldn't say a negative note, but it's definitely not one, but a note of remembrance to Kyle Busch. I hate to, end the episode this way, but I felt like it was necessary today on August 18th. So thank you so much for listening. The race review for Richmond should be up probably tomorrow, but for the rest of the day, we're gonna let um, the memory of Kyle Busch live in our minds a little bit. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode of Talkin NASCAR.